So, hello everybody. Hopefully everybody is having a nice day. Today I want to talk about Wild Assault's balance because right now it is not in a good state. It's in a pretty bad state. And I decided, how I would balance the game myself. Now, I removed all personal bias from this list because you cannot have personal bias when balancing something, because if it was up to me, if I added it, it would be like, okay, give Akai 150 health and make me one-shot everybody because balance, because that's the way I want it. So, no. I remove all personal bias and I decided to add what's healthy for the game. And I decided to basically just work on everything from Valiant Balance to Valiant Limits to weapon selection to some perks to some abilities, some weapons themselves that need buffed or nerfed or need to be reworked. I thought of everything. And again, I removed all personal bias. So I'm thinking of what would be good for the game. So yeah, again, this is a discussion. You don't have to agree with everything I say. If you disagree, of course, you can leave it in the comments. You can have a discussion in the comments and obviously keep it civil. But yeah, first off, I'm gonna start with Valiant Balance. So first off, let's start with that. Now, I'm gonna start with overall. So this is for all the Valiants. I feel like we should have one specific Valiant per squad. So no more free Irwins, 4 Hong Yings, free Marquesas, 4 Akais, none of that. That's over. I feel like we should have one per team. Not per team, per squad. And then we should have a Valiant limit of 3. So you can only have 2 free Marquesas per team. In a 20v20, you can only have free Hong Yings or free Akais or free Marquesas. Now, at the moment, that does sound kind of limiting, but I'm thinking with this idea long term when they add more Valiants, like the Snow Leopard or whatever other ideas they might have in the future when they have more characters, then the chances of you picking your character will become even higher because there's more characters to pick with, for other people. So, yeah, now the reason I decided to go with a Valiant per squad and Valiant limit, it's to avoid spam. Spam right now in Wild Assault is horrible, no matter the type. You want to go with anti-heal and you have like 8 Marquesas on the enemy team, it becomes hell and you literally cannot walk over anything. Same thing with Vladimir with his fire. Healing is completely overpowered when you have like 6 or 7 supports on the enemy team completely at the moment. So kind of needs to be a little readjusted. So yeah, I feel like limiting certain Valiants on the team should be pretty good. And I also decided to increase the stamina recovery slightly. Now, I feel like the duration is fine on the stamina, but I feel like the regeneration for you to get, more stamina should be slightly faster. So the game could be slightly faster paced. Because I don't think like Wild Assault should be a very slow paced game. Knowing how this game plays and seeing how it plays, been playing a couple matches, I don't think this is a slow paced game. I feel like this is like medium-ish to slightly fast paced game from what I've been playing. So yeah, I feel like a stamina recovery would be good, especially on certain maps also as well. It helps a lot with Mojave, for example. That's a map where you need to run a lot, so I feel like that's pretty good. And yeah, that's pretty much where I'm going to leave it for overall. Now, we're going to be tackling individual ones, so let's start now. Alright, so first off, let's start with Assault characters. Let's start with the biggest problem of the game at the moment, Norman. Norman right now is completely overpowered to the point where he is a nuisance. Now, Norman is supposed to be the starting role, that beginner area. Right now, he is kind of the best character in the game. This is supposed to be like the introduction to the game, the character that brings you in, you get your feet wet, then you switch to another character that's slightly better at something else. Norman right now, I feel like his main issues are both the roar in his Primal Fury, which is his ultimate. So first off, let's start with the Roar. So the Roar, I made the simple solution of just removing his going through walls interaction. Now, if you guys don't know, Norman can roar through walls. Stunning the player on the other side, you go around the wall, and then you kill them. slightly, it's super easy, it's brain dead, and it feels undeserved, you know. I feel like Roar should be one of those scenarios where people get close to you. Like, for example, Akai rushing you, or anybody getting a point blank range, you stun them and then you kill them with your melee or you shoot at them or whatever, you know. I feel like that's what Roar should be for. Like, nullifying things at point blank range or like 10 meters or like in that area, right? So, yeah, no more going through walls. Now, the next one I fixed would be Primal Fury. Now, Primal Fury is his ultimate, but I basically removed one of his key things with his ultimate. And that is the Stim Shot, or the Instinct Awaken ability, his E. So basically, what people do is combine the Stim and then they ult. Or they ult and then they Stim. I don't know in which order they do it, but basically what that makes them do is that they can get a bunch of health back per kill. So I removed that. So basically when you ult, your Stim Shot will not be available to you. And if you use your Stim Shot and then you ult, your Stim Shot ability goes away. Like, you can, like, the stats go away, so it doesn't stack, you know. So basically when you use your ult, you have no more Stim. That's it, it's over. So I feel like those two are the main thing for Norman right now that are really annoying. So those are the two things I decided to rework on not on Norman. Basically, it's a nerf. It's a nerf to the character, because right now, again, he's supposed to be this beginner character, and right now it feels like he's the best at everything. So yeah, that's just my changes for Norman. Now we're gonna move to Ryan. Now Ryan is pretty simple. The only thing I decided to do is remove his stun from his Reckless Charge ability, and basically make his pull out his gun faster. So when you stun somebody, you pull out your gun slightly faster. So yeah, I mean, pretty simple change. That's Norman's biggest problem, the stun duration whenever you hit somebody. So yeah, because usually when you do hit somebody and they're in a squad, by the time you can even pull out your gun, you just get melted and you just get killed. So yeah, unless they're out on their own, but if you charge into a squad or something, before you can even, kill the person that you knock down, you'll be shot and get killed before you can even get at least one kill. So yeah, just basically remove his stun duration and make him pull out his gun slightly faster. Now we're gonna go with Akai. Now Akai is a very interesting thing to balance, very interesting Valiant to balance, because some people say she's fine, some people say she needs a buff, some people say she needs a nerf, and I feel like she does need a slight nerf. Now, I'm an Akai main. I main Akai, mostly. It's the only character that I have legendary so far. And I feel like she needs to be slightly nerfed. Now, what did I do to fix her, or nerf her, basically? So right now, if you guys don't know, whenever she slides, certain Valiant abilities make her go through them, you know? Like, for example, if I slide and somebody charges me with Ryan, I go through them. It doesn't matter. They will not hit me. So I would say I fixed her collision interactions with other Valiants while she's using Departure or the slide, you know. Well, so while she's using that, the collision, it needs to be fixed. And I also decided to nerf her ability talent, her ultimate talent. So instead of assist giving you your cooldowns by 100%, I lowered it to 50. So you still need to get the kill in order to basically, get your abilities back. Because what people do most of the time is while they're playing Akai, they just shoot somebody, and then because of that ability, whenever they do get an assist, they just get all their abilities back. So I feel like that is cheap. Basically now you have your cooldowns reduced by 50%, so you have to put slightly more effort to get them back. So yeah, I feel like that's a pretty good nerf for Akai. I don't know what else I would nerf about her. Her damage reduction I think seems okay. Again, if she's staying in her bubble and you want to fight like that instead of using her slide, I feel like that's okay too. I feel like that should be good for Akai. I don't feel like there should be any more nerfs to her at the moment, because if you keep going worse and worse, she just becomes useless. So yeah, that's pretty much it for assaults. I think I balanced them pretty well. Now let's go to scouts. So let's start with Jack. Now Jack, I feel like he's in a good position right now. He's not amazing and he's not bad. But I decided basically to just change one thing about him, and that is to give you better notification to the enemy whenever you use your drill charge or your T-28 projectile launcher, if you want to call it by endgame, Basically, you know how when you ult as Jack, you have this small radius and it shows you? I feel like that should happen as well with his little projectile thing, because sometimes you think you're safe, but in reality you're not, and then you just get one-shotted. So I feel like slightly better information to the enemy of where the radius is going to be of that drill charge would be good, because sometimes you think you're safe. It's like, okay, I'm away from the wall, I shouldn't be hit, and then you still get one-shotted. So, I feel like better information for the drill charge for the enemy would be good to avoid certain stupid deaths. So, yeah, that's pretty much my only issue with Jack. That's it. Now we're gonna go with Croc. And Croc, I decided to completely rework him. So right now, Croc is the only character with 2 lethal abilities. So what I decided to do is basically not destroy him, but again, nerf him slightly, but at the same time, making him more of a teamwork type of character instead of going all out, one-man army like Call of Duty. So, yeah, here's what I decided to go with his rework. So his Hunting Feast, his ultimate, I decided to increase it to 40 seconds, but his killing enemies no longer extends the timer. So it's a flat 40 seconds and that's it. If you kill somebody, you kill somebody. If you get killed, you get killed. That's it. No more extending, no more nothing. It's just a 40-second duration and that's it. That's all you get for your ultimate. Now for the Tomahawk, this is where it gets tricky. I decided to rework this completely by reducing the damage to 100. So no more one-shotting squishies. But basically what I decided to do is that this Tomahawk now, if you stick it to someone, that Tomahawk will be stuck and you will have a 10-meter aura around that target. So if they carry the aura, towards the objective, they reveal anybody who's in a 10-meter radius of them. So not only are they marked, but anybody who's close to that target also gets marked. And I decided to basically also give the information to your squad mates, not your teammates, not the entire team, only the people in your squad. So yeah, 3 more players get, your wall hack bonus. So basically, you still do a lot of damage, because 100 health is a lot of damage, but you get better information. Now, I feel like this is better because he is supposed to be a scout, a character that you use for, knowing information, intel, given to your enemies, given to your teammates, not your enemies. So I feel like they should be revealed for 5 seconds. Now, I want opinions on this because, again, I feel like this is a good balance between having him be his ideal role, which is scouting, while at the same time not being a one-man murder machine. So I feel like reducing the damage to 100 is good, because again, you can just put like 1 or 2 more bullets on somebody, and boom. And if they decide to retreat, and they're healing, then everybody who's around them is seen. So it's a good middle, right? You do damage, and if they decide to retreat, you learn information. I feel like that's good. Now, his Water Strike, I decided, this is his death roll, by the way. I decided that basically every single enemy that you hit is marked to your squad mates for 5 seconds. Again, going more into that helping your teammates type of role. But I did lower the damage reduction to 20% instead of 30. So, yeah, I feel like that's a good balance, because another thing that people don't realize about 20v20 games is that you're not supposed to be this one-man killing machine. This isn't Call of Duty where there's like 6v6. So this is supposed to be a team-based game. It's a team-based shooter. So yeah, the abilities are supposed to help you, get kills with your gun, not be the main killer itself. So that's my opinion on what should happen to Croc. He should be more of a learning intel type of character for you and your teammates, while at the same time being slightly lethal, but not to the point where he's completely one-shotting and killing everybody. So, I don't know. What do you guys think about that? I also decided that for the Tomahawk, this is something I forgot to mention about the Tomahawk. If you miss, there will be a 10-meter radius aura, but only in that area. So if you hit the Tomahawk and it's stuck to a wall and they're hiding behind the wall, you can still see them. So the only thing is that you won't be able to do the 100 damage. So yeah, and again, the highlight is only revealed to you for 5 seconds and your teammates. That's it, just 5 seconds. So yeah, I feel like that's a pretty good reward for Kronk in my opinion, just leaning more into that scouting type of deal. So yeah, we are gonna move now into the experts. Alright, so let's start with Vladimir. Now, first off with Vladimir, and I think this is a very simple change for Vladimir. The only thing that kind of needs a little bit of work is his ultimate. That's it. His abilities I think are fine. I think his ultimate should do 2 times damage to equipment / deployables. So again, this is with future stuff in mind. So yeah, basically just destroy deployables like Uli stuff and any other character that might have a deployable later in the future. Just completely destroys them. It's very powerful against deployables and equipment. And I also decided to make it a counter to Ryan's Riot Shield. So if you have Ryan's Riot Shield and you get hit by this thing, it just completely destroys your shield and it just goes right through you. So yeah, I feel like this would also be a complete counter to Ryan's ultimate. So yeah, I feel like that's pretty good for Vladimir. I don't feel like anything else should happen. Right now it's kind of in a weak spot and just kind of giving it a purpose would be good. So that's the thing I decided to keep. Now Marquez, I think she's okay so far. I don't feel like she is overpowered or she needs nerfing. I feel like she is fine. And again, this is with the changes I have in mind where there's only going to be like 3 per team. If we put it with that scenario in mind, then I think she's okay. Now we're going to go with Uli. Now with Uli, I basically decided to make his ultimate tunnel last longer. That's pretty much it for the tunnel. So, when you go from one side to the other with the tunnel, I feel like that should be made slightly longer because it just feels like it lasts like 30 seconds or 40 or something. It's very, very short. So, yeah, I also decided to give the Uli Mobile a 20 bigger blast radius when he uses it as an ult. So that way, it's ult worthy, because it just feels like it's okay. It's whatever. And I decided to decrease the max damage of the Uli Mobile to 110, so it can no longer one-shot. It leaves you in a one-shot state, but it can no longer one-shot. So, yeah, that way, you can feel the power of that Uli Mobile when he ults. So, yeah, I don't feel like one-shot abilities are really good for the game, as you guys can see, except for Jack's projectile, because it's meant to flush out enemies out of cover, and if you decide to stay in that cover, then, you pay the price. But besides that, I don't feel like any other character should be able to one-shot. It should leave you in a one-shot state, but it shouldn't one-shot you completely. And then for the Panda, or Ascension, I basically decided to just... It's a simple fix, but his trophy system no longer eats crossbow arrows. So, yeah, it's a buff to the crossbow as well. But yeah, if you use your trophy system ability, you no longer eat crossbow arrows. Because... it's right now where the crossbows arrows are projectiles and it counts like a projectile, so Ascension can eat it. And basically that's it. That's pretty much it. It's a simple change for the Panda. Now we're gonna talk about supports. Now supports are tricky because supports are they can be overpowered in big numbers. So the only thing I decided to change for Hongyang is that whenever you get your first aid capsule, when you retrieve it, when you press that Q back to retrieve it, you no longer get healed. That's the only change I decided to make for Hongyang. Her healing's fine, her ability's fine. I just feel like when you retrieve it and you press Q to get it back, I don't think you should get healed. That's the only thing I decided to change about Hongyang, the only thing. And for Erwin, I basically have 2 suggestions for her. Now, this is the 2 that I came up with. When you use your ultimate on an ally, if the user is killed, you no longer have it transferred to someone else. But you get your ultimate 15% faster. That's one of my suggestions. My other suggestion is keep it as it is, but instead of transferring to multiple people indefinitely, it just transferred to 2 players. So it goes from 1, then the person dies, then it goes to 2, and that's it. Then it doesn't transfer to anybody else. That's my only two changes for Irwin. I don't know which one you guys like better. I'm fine with either or, but that's what I chose for her. I feel like her running away and her healing with her glove, I think that's fine. That's fine with me. But yeah, those are the changes I would make for the Valiants. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. But we are going to move on to the weapon selection. Alright, so now let's talk about weapon selection for the Valiants. Now for Assault, let's start with that one. I feel like Norman's selection, Ryan's selection, and Akai's selection is okay. I feel like they're fine right now. I don't feel like they need to be changed or touched or anything. I feel like the Assault characters have a good selection of weapons and don't need to be touched. Alright, so now let's talk about Scouts. Now, in my opinion, I did the same change for both Croc and Jack. I feel like I should remove the AKS and the A91, and I should add the DMP. Now, why did I decide to do this? Well, because I don't feel like assault rifles should be allowed on Valiants that have wall hack abilities or information perks. So, yeah, I feel like they should either be left in that close range area or long range area. Hence why they should only have SMGs, DMRs, and snipers. Those are the only three weapon categories that should be allowed on Scouts. I don't feel like they should have anything else in that category. I feel like ARs is a step too far. So that's why I removed the AKS and the A91 from both of them. And now we are going to go to Expert. Now with Expert, with Vladimir, I decided to give him the FAL and the AN94, or the AL01, A94 as they're called in game. I feel like that's fine. They're mid to long range weapons, and they could really use more weapons in their inventory. So the FAL, we don't see it enough, by the way. I barely see that gun online. I feel like it's fine. It doesn't need a buff or a nerf. I just don't see it. But yeah, that's fine on Vladimir, in my opinion. 2 mid to long range weapons, plus it gives him more variety, you know, when it comes to playing with guns. And that's pretty much it for Vladimir. Just give him 2 guns. For Marquez, again, I decided to remove the AKS. I feel like the AKS should just be a assault character weapon. That's it. It shouldn't go to experts. It shouldn't go to supports. It shouldn't go to scouts. Again, that's a slightly spoiler for supports. But yeah, I removed the AKS, but I gave Marquez the DMP, and I gave her also the Dragunov, or the DSV. That's whatever you want to call it. Same thing with Uli. Remove the AKS, give them the DMP and the DSV. I feel like those two are good changes for them. And then for Panda, or Ascension, I decided to give them the same buff as Vladimir, which is giving them the FAL or the AN94. I feel like that's fine. I don't feel like if you add any of these weapons to these characters, they will be completely overpowered. So, yeah, and basically for supports, now this is a weird one. For supports, this is one that you can work around. Now, this is a given. Remove the AKS. AKS should be removed. Now, this is where I decided to be a little bit weird with the support, and that's giving them the MK4 as a scope-only weapon. The only scope-only weapon. No VSK, no DSV, no nothing. Just the MK4. Now, let me know how you guys feel about this. I feel like if you give the supports MK4, it should be okay. I mean, it's not slightly overpowered or anything. So, what do you guys think about that? In my opinion, I think it's fine. I think if you give them the MK4, it's okay. And that's pretty much it for the weapon selection of the Valiants. Now we're going to talk about weapon balance. Now, this is where it's going to be combined with the weapon selection, because some of the weapons I'm going to be talking about are going to be buffed or nerfed. And, you know, this is where it all goes together. So we're going to move on to weapon balance. Alright, so first off, let's start with guns that need nerf. Starting with my favorite weapon of all time, the AKS. That's a sarcasm, by the way. So yeah, I feel like the AKS is very easy to nerf. All you gotta do is increase the bloom slightly more, while ADS, and past 20 meters, the damage should drop off significantly. So once you get, away from that close range area, that, bloom should be to the point where you can no longer hit too many targets, or, they're easy to hit. I feel like this would be good for it. And I don't know how else to nerf it. I guess you could leave it the way it is and lower the damage numbers. but I feel like increasing the bloom more would be better because it's supposed to be a close range weapon, and then once you get past the 20 meters, then it should be like basically like impossible to hit a target. So it should be like very high damage in that close range area, but then it just drops off completely. Like after like 30 meters maybe after that, I don't know, something like that. So yeah, close range weapon monster, and then it just drops off and falls off. Now we are going to be talking about the second most annoying weapon, the Type 4. This gun is currently everywhere. Now what do you think, what do I think should happen to the Type 4? Now the Type 4 is a very simple fix. Right now, the Type 4 is currently a weapon that has very low recoil, very low bloom, and very decent damage. So what I decided to do is basically give it the M27 treatment from BO2. I don't know if you guys remember that gun, but to describe it, is basically have low bloom, pretty easy to control, but very low damage. So I decided to lower the damage to 20 per bullet, 19 after 30 meters, and then after 15 meters, very long range, 18 damage. Now, this will be good. It's very low damage, very easy to control, and, low recoil. So, yeah, it's a good beginner weapon. Pretty easy to hit targets, but you're not doing massive damage like you're currently doing right now. I feel like that's good for the Type 4. Basically, very easy to control, make it a hit marker machine. That's pretty much what I think should happen to the Type 4. It should be that good beginner weapon, But at the same time, it should be like a, jack of all trades, master of none. That's the type of weapon it should be. But it's currently not. It just has way too much damage. I feel like that's it. That's all you need to rework with it. Just lower the damage numbers by a lot. Now we're going to go with another overpowered weapon at the moment that people seem to be complaining about. The DMP, or the UMP-45. I feel like the damage past 40 meters should be lowered. Right now, it is currently 20, which is extremely high. That means you can pass 40 meters, you can literally like 4-tap a target. I feel like 20 is too high. This is the main problem with the DMP. It's after 40 meters, you still do way too much damage. I tested it out multiple times. That seems to be its biggest issues. It can melt people from halfway across the map. It should be that mid-range weapon. It should not be like a DMR. So I would say literally just past 40 meters, just nerf it. Just make the damage like 13, 14. It should be that weapon that's really good from 20 to 39 meters. After 40, it should just drop off. But it should be that middle area, But in my opinion right now, it's currently too overpowered. It should be nerfed. The crossbow, again, this is where we're gonna get into like a quality of life. Just make it so the panda can no longer eat the crossbow bolts. That's pretty much the only change I would make for the crossbow. I think it's fine the way it is. It's a meme weapon, so it shouldn't be used, as a meta type gun. But yeah, now we're gonna move on to a gun that definitely needs some love because I see no one using this thing, and that is the M16. No one is using the M16. The damage is too low. I feel like the damage is too low, and it should be slightly buffed. It should be the high damage mid-range weapon. Again, no DMR, but it should be 30 to 50 meters. Then after that, do whatever. But this is the damage I decided to give it, okay? This is what I wrote down. Damage should be increased to 30 per bullet until 40 meters. And then after that, it should have a small drop-off past 40 meters to 29 and 28 per bullet. Now, the reason I chose this number is because you also have to account for damage reduction on certain characters, and you also have to account for people being healed at the same time. Now, you don't want to... I feel like this weapon, for small to medium characters, should be a 2-burst kill. 6 bullets. So, I feel like this is fine if you put these numbers, because you also have to account for all these other weapons. Again, this is not only for the M16, this is for every single weapon. You have to account for damage reduction and people being healed while being shot at, So, I feel like these numbers are okay. And then, that's pretty much it for all the weapons. And this is the one where I'm gonna need some slight help with from the community, and I don't know where to balance these two guns. Now, the two guns I'm gonna be mentioning is the two shotguns, the M88 and the Home Defender. I have no idea really how to balance these. I did make some changes to the slugs for both of them, but besides that, it's a bit tough. I don't know how to really balance these two weapons correctly, because shotguns are really tough. You either make him completely overpowered or you make him completely broken. Now, I'm gonna tell you what I wrote, okay? Now, this is for the slugs, for both of them, by the way. At 10 meters, the slugs should one-shot. Now, currently, if you shoot somebody at 10 meters, it's 95 damage. Now, I decided to basically make it 120. It should one-shot squishies with slugs. Now, at 15 meters, it should go to basically 80. If you shoot at somebody at 15 meters with the slugs, it does 38 damage. That's nothing. So I increased it to 80. And then basically it's a two-shot after 15 meters. And then for 30 meters, I made it 40. So 40 damage at 30 meters. And then it's 38 at the moment. So from 15 to 30, it stays 38. It's pretty trash. So I decided to make it 40 at 30 meters. Anything past 30 meters, you do not hit. So it slug fades, basically. It despawns, it goes away. So I feel like that's a pretty good changes for the slugs on both the Home Defender and the M88. Now, for the Home Defender, when it comes to pellets, I decided to give it 12 pellets. Now, it currently shoots 11 pellets. And that's pretty much it. That's the only change I would make for the Home Defender. Give it another pellet so it does extra damage. And I guess lower the reload slightly so you can reload it faster, because that's its main weakness. So that's pretty much it. Those are the only two changes I would make for the M88 now and the Home Defender. I don't know what else I could do to buff these two guns, because it's tricky. It's a very tricky subject, because you do not want to make these overpowered. If you do make them overpowered, everybody will get annoyed and everybody hates being one-shotted, So past 10 to 15 meters, that's all I'm gonna give it. Anything after that, it should be a two-shot. I don't know what else I could say about the Home Defender and the M88, but it's the best I got. Again, discussion. So if you guys have some opinions about the M88 and the Home Defender, let me know. But yeah, that's my opinion on the balance of Wild Assault. That's pretty much it. I said all my ideas in my opinion for the balance. I don't know what else I could change. Again, I fought all these thoughts. I fought all about this for a very long time. And I feel like this is it. I would like to play test this build that I wrote right here. And I would like to see how it goes. Sadly, unfortunately, I cannot do that. But in my opinion, this is just what I think would be better for the game. Just thinking about everything in mind, with Valiant Balance, Weapon Balance, who gets to use what weapon, it's a tricky subject. It is a tricky subject because you cannot put personal bias on a subject like this. So this is what I think would be best for all Valiants and all players, in my opinion. Now, let me know what you guys think. Of course, you guys can drop your ideas in the comment section. We could have a discussion all about it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. And I'll talk to you guys later with the next video or live stream. Bye-bye.